Welcome back to the meeting of the Standing Finance Committee. Next, we feature Head Number 22, the Ministry of National Security and the Police. Senator the Honourable Gary Griffith, the Minister of National Security, will answer questions as it relates to his ministry's expenditure of the allocated sum of $2,692,486,170. We take you over to the Parliament Chamber to await the Chairman and the Minister of National Security.
We'd like to resume at this time, and welcome to the Minister of National Security. You can bring your personnel here, your accounting officers, to join you at this time. I think you can sit in the back. The meeting of the Standing Finance Committee will now be resumed. We go to Head 22, the Ministry of National Security, $2,692,486,170. I will now invite the Honourable Minister of National Security, if he so desires, to make a brief opening statement for no more than 5 minutes, giving us an overview of your priority areas for fiscal 2014-2015. The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the percentage allocation in the Ministry of National Security for this upcoming year, as what we have seen for the past decade in this country, it is on par with what we have seen worldwide in comparison to other countries' national security budgets in tandem with their annual allocation. Usually in countries it's between 6 and 15%. United Kingdom, US, China, Jamaica is with 11, 12. Trinidad and Tobago, we have kept within that percentage for national security in your annual budget of about 10%. What we are doing, Mr. Chairman, is not so much of just pumping in millions of dollars into national security assets, but what we are looking at is to ensure that there are proper principles of proper management, leadership, training, and to measure performance. What we have seen at home, dealing with situations of gang warfare, an attempted coup in 1990, an improvised explosive device, and now with global terrorism, I think we have seen the importance for national security. It is unfortunate that some may see security as being a necessary evil rather than ensuring the most fundamental rights of citizens. So what we have done with this budget, Mr. Chairman, it is a continuation of where we have been. Whereas last year, there's been a reduction of all serious crimes by over 30%. And we intend to continue along that pattern, bearing in mind that the barometer to measure crime really it involves murders. And because of that, we do know the importance to deal with that. The budget was geared in mind to prepare for any eventuality. It is better that we prepare now than later. If we wait until later, it will cost us not just in dollars and cents that we are seeing and talking about today, but lives that could be lost. So we have looked at the important aspects to ensure three things, Mr. Chairman. First, we are looking at the asset acquisition, and the asset acquisition was based on research. It was based on data, and it was based on us actually working with the main stakeholders, not the politicians that just came up with any crime plans. We will never involve any crime plan aspect, but to look at the asset acquisition in tandem with what our stakeholders required, and that being the members of the law enforcement agencies. The asset acquisition also involved a second, then we moved into the second part, which had to do with manpower strength. You have to must have the manpower strength allocation to move in tandem with the asset acquisition. And the third had to do with the training. The training is very critical to ensure that the manpower acquisition will also work in, they will be properly trained to utilize the assets that were provided for them. So we would see a variety of assets to deal with all systems we have for law enforcement. And it will vary from a very simple yet mandatory requirement to protect our law enforcement officers in times of any crisis, such as armored personnel carriers. And it will then move us at a high end to things that can deal with the border protection. And that will involve aspects such as, again, interceptors, hovercraft, unmanned aerial vehicles, new helicopters, and more effective radar, and the National Operations Center, which is something that will be the core, the communicational platform for all of the different systems that you will see in the Ministry of National Security. So with that, Mr. Chairman, as I said, there was a lot of work we put to ensure that the manpower strength will then will equate with the asset acquisition, and also marketing. Marketing was very important because the public must be aware of what it is that is happening. It is not so much of crime reduction, but we can reduce crime, but there's also a different aspect towards the perception and fear of crime. So we also put in a heavy emphasis to ensure that that perception and fear of crime is also removed. There would be concerns that some may say that we are going into overkill or doing too much. But I prefer that we do too much than to be recognized for doing too little and nothing at all. And then when it happens, it will be too late. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I think I've said, I don't think any more needs to be said. So I think I'll be able to wrap up here in 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. Honourable Minister, honourable members, the question is at a sum of $2,692,486,170 for Head 22, the Ministry of National Security, stand part of the schedule. Honourable members, the sum of $2,692,486,170 for Head 22, the Ministry of National Security, is comprised of monies proposed for expenditure under the following subheads and items to be found in the draft estimates of the recurrent expenditure and the draft estimate of development program. Subhead 01, personal expenditure. Item 1, general administration. Item 2, fire service. I recognize the member for Laventille East mover.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Minister. Sub-item 01, salaries and cost of living allowance. I understand that this includes vacant posts. I'd like to know how much vacant posts exist in the fire service division.
The vacancies in the, you mean the regular members of the fire services?
Yes.
Yes, that would be included in this.
No.
That's not included
No.
in this. This is central ministry.
Yeah.
This includes the 75
This includes it.
Yeah. I don't have the exact amount, but no, I could also give you, apart from the fire service, the auxiliary fire officers, there's also a vacancy for that as well, so I could also provide
All right.
that.
You can provide that, all right, later on. But I just want to say concerning the promotion in the fire service. I asked that question because, Minister, do you know that the last promotion in the rank of fire station officer was in 2005, and the last promotion in the lower ranks was in 2010. So I think you need to look at the vacant post situation.
Yeah, we are looking at that because we also have the same situation with the Tobago Police Service, and through the second division, there are concerns, and it goes with the system and concern pertaining to seniority and performance, which comes first. And it has affected we are doing the importance of morale. And it's not, we speak a lot about the Commissioner of Police appointment, but we also have to look at all the other aspects. So the Tobago Police Service and the fire service, we are aware of that concern. We're not seeing that with the Defense Force.
Yes.
Concerning 03, over time, I see there's an increase, in a large increase in overtime. Is there, what accounts for this?
Fire?
For fire.
Fire.
I'm still on the fire.
Yeah. Yeah,
03.
overtime.
Overtime?
Yes.
That's on page 111. 02, wages and, no. 03.
111, yeah.
111.
11103.
Yeah.
What accounts for that?
For the increase?
Yes, this is a big increase in overtime, fire service.
Yeah. Where is it? Oh, it involves the operational officers that working. They have a 42-hour work week, and now they're being paid for the extra hours. Again, it's similar to the Trinidad and Tobago police service, where there will be situations that once they work over the work hours, they would be paid the extra time.
But that has always existed, so I want to know why is this increase now?
Well, I do know that we've been in situations where the officers, they were never actually paid, and we've had back pay that was just
it's
backing up
quite a
for
bit.
a long while back, and it has caused some concerns, and even it caused reluctance with certain members of the protective services wanting to come forward and work those extra hours because of the delay in the actual payment.
In the line of concerning allowances here 04, I wanted to know if the fire service is entitled to the 1 million for their family if they're killed in the line of duty. Are they entitled to that?
Yes, it is not just members of the Ministry of National Security. It will involve, in the Ministry of National Security, all persons in the operational aspects of law enforcement. That will involve the police, members of the Defense Force, members of the fire services, but also members of the Trinidad and Tobago Prison Service, which will be under the Ministry of Justice. We still have to deal with this. There is a difference with killed in the line of duty and because it is not just a situation that the person was killed whilst in operation. He might very well be in a car accident whilst on patrol, and we are just trying to sift this to ensure that this will be dealt with in a proper manner, and that those persons the spouse will actually be provided with that support based on those persons giving their lives for their country.
All right, we go on to item 5, regiment. Item 6, Coast Guard. Item 6, Coast Guard, I recognize the member for Laventille East, Mova.
Okay. I just want a clarification on 24, sub-item 24 concerning direct allowances, direct charges. There's an increase of 15 million. What accounts for that increase?
Direct, what charges is it?
Which one are you on, my dear?
Sub-item.
You on sub-item
24?
6?
Yes, 24.
Yeah.
We have
Under allowances.
Yeah, we have.
Yes.
Okay, I'll get that information for you.
15 million.
15, okay.
All right.
She's looking at 23.
Any other matters, or we can move on?
Yes, you can move on.
All right, we go on to item 7, immigration. Item 15, the cadet force. I recognize the member for Laventille West.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We continue to preach that one of the ways of reducing...
Where are you on? We
15.
need to be guided.
01.
01.
Salaries?
Yeah.
01 under item 15, cadet force.
Yeah. Continue to preach that one of the ways of reducing crime in the country is by putting a unit in every secondary school. Yeah? Is this $950,000 sufficient to hire or have sufficient staff to man that organization?
The Honourable Minister of National Security.
Yes, Chairman. What you're speaking about, we're actually having meetings now with the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of National Security with that aspect to ensure that we can have a proper establishment of presence of the cadets in every school. it does not mean that there's going to be an escalation to any great extent pertaining to budget allocation, because the whole concept of the cadets, it is not a massive expense where you require major fixed assets of any substance. But I think the important question is about the increased presence of cadets in different schools. I think the Ministry of National Security we have stunted it to some extent, that not as much presence we have in the secondary schools, which is why we are now working hand in hand with the Ministry of Education to deal with that.
All right, we go on to item 16, the Air Guard. We go to subhead 02, Goods and Services. Item 1, General Administration. I recognize the member for Digomata Northeast. No, I recognize the member for Laventille East, Mova, then Digomata Northeast, member for Chaguanas West, and then Aruka Maloney. Member for?
Mr. Chairman, I get with today.
The Honourable member for Digomata West.
Chairman, I take it that we're under 020 on page 115.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I just want to make a general observation to the minister. And I noticed that he's brought to the House our esteemed heads of divisions. So I just want to make an observation to him first if I put a few questions. When I look at the column increase and the column decrease, I notice that there's a consistent pattern of increases in this ministry. And notwithstanding the requirement to make sure that we are properly secure, both at the personal level and at the level of the state, we have to be cognizant of the fact that we do not have unlimited resources. And therefore, in every area, including the Ministry of National Security, notwithstanding the requirement and the pressing needs to improve our performance in this area, that we just can't be just increasing everything. Because against that background of increases, we still have a general feeling in the communities, and it's commonly reported that you talk to the police and you hear they don't have enough cars. You go to the station, not enough manpower in the station, and then things like that. So I come to the point of 09 under vehicles and equipment, and this is the Ministry of National Security, and this is not the departments like the Army, the Coast Guard. This is the Ministry of National Security. What is the explanation for this increase in rental and lease of vehicles, which in 2013 was at 85 million? We budgeted 122 million in 2014. I'm seeing a revised estimate of 119 million, and we are making a provision of 125 million for 2015. And this is the ministry, the administrative arm of national security. Is there any effort being made to curb expenses in this kind of area? And what exactly are we paying for here?
Okay. Yes. Yes, Chairman. If we just look at the vehicles alone, and many instances, such as in the intelligence agencies, there will be a host of vehicles that will be used for covert operatives. That will be involving members of the Defense Force, the Special Branch, the SSA, where vehicles are rented. It is a very high cost. And we are indeed looking at doing a proper audit to ensure, I mean, basically, if you keep the difficulty with these things, for example, you can't purchase these vehicles because you have to have a rotation. And I don't want to say too much more on this to reveal any, to cause any security breaches. But there would be expenses along these lines, such as rental of vehicles for intelligence agencies and other aspects. Sometimes it be, as much as we will try to cut the fat, sometimes there would be mandatory requirements to deal with aspects such as those. Looking at the other elements, I know we actually have also for vehicles for other aspects of secondary crime prevention measures, such as the systems we have through the Hoop of Life and other systems that these vehicles would be rented. So even right now, there's sometimes over $2 to $3 million a month just for rental of vehicles for covert agencies alone. So the cost can be high at times.
Yeah, Mr. Minister, what I'm saying is, if you look at the increase between 2013 and 2015 as a percentage, it's a significant increase. And to what extent are we using competitive arrangements to get the best value for money? Or is it that the people that you're renting from are fixed in the system in some way and they just keep pushing the price up? Are you sure that you're getting the benefit of competition for the vehicles you want in the service? If you're renting 100 vehicles and you opened up to proper competition and fairness and transparency, I'm not asking you to divulge any national security.
Sure, sure.
Because there's no national security consideration about renting vehicles. How do you get the benefit of competition to ensure that this significant increase in costs is controlled?
Yes.
What is the procedure for acquiring these vehicles?
Well, we do have, in fact, we started the next week. We have the special tender to ensure that we actually getting the proper vehicles at the best cost. But that
What is that? The what?
to ensure that we have the vehicles that will be appropriate for the law enforcement agencies at the most appropriate cost. So there is actually a special tender that is actually going out to verify that we have those vehicles that we are speaking about. The rental of the vehicles we are speaking.
I'm not talking here specifically about any type of vehicle. I'm talking about competition.
Yeah.
It is competition that will give you the best price. I must tell you, there was one time in this country when you were told that only a particular model of vehicle could have carried a particular radio.
Yes.
I'm not going there.
Sure.
I'm talking about if you have a desire to obtain a certain number of tens or hundreds of vehicles, the only way you're going to control the price is if you operate by having competition. And I'm asking, what are the procedures that you're using which allow this price to be creeping up in this way?
Yeah, I think it is not so much the cost per vehicle, but the quantity that keeps going up by the demands of the intelligence agencies. But that again is a small percentage. And if you look at with the vehicle and equipment, we also had to see about the outstanding arrears owed to TSTT for the fiber optic connectivity.
We can get there.
Okay.
$125 million is not a small item. So I move on, Mr. Speaker. Contract.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just on your mic. Your mic is not on. I know.
This item is for the rental or lease of vehicles?
Yeah.
That's for the ministry.
Sorry.
This item
Which
is for
one?
the rental and or lease of vehicles?
The same item.
That's part of it. It also involves paying out the outstanding arrears for the fiber optic cables,
So there's commingling here of things.
vehicles and equipment. Yes.
What amount of this would be rental of vehicles?
That for you mean covert agencies?
No. You have a total of 125 million under 09 for the
Yeah.
rental or
Yeah,
lease
breakdown,
of
yeah.
vehicles and equipment. How much of that is vehicles?
Well, I can tell you for the covert vehicles alone, that alone will be just about 15 million.
What I'm driving at,
Per
let's say 50% of it is for vehicles, just guessing, right? 60 million?
No, I wouldn't say that. I could only speak. I know definitely about the covert vehicles. That will be about 15
Let
million.
me ask the question a different way, and perhaps you could provide the information later on. How many vehicles are you leasing? Total.
What's that? 80 to 100. About approximately 80 vehicles.
Less than 100? But that would be about $10 million.
Yeah, that's what. It's about 10 to 15 million dollars.
So could you tell us what the other?
Yeah, well, that's
Odd
one of the
million is
things
for?
that I mentioned was about the outstanding arrears owed to TSTT for the fiber optic connectivity for the 59 cameras on the surveillance bay on the Uriah Butler Highway. That is one. What else? You have the others? Yeah, the cameras itself, acquisition of CCTVs, and what's the other thing?
Perhaps you could give us a breakdown, a list.
I could bring the breakdown. Yeah, I could get.
Yeah, I recognize the member for Shogunas West.
Mr.
Yeah, it
Chairman.
might be on the same point.
Mr. Minister, I want to go to item 36 under 0002 schools and services. 36, extraordinary expenditure. And could tell me what that is, please? And also to 62, promotions, publicity, and printing. I see that has moved from 1.6 million 2013 to now 12.6 million 2015. The expenditure from 111 to 20 million, 20 million, my apologies. So from 1 million 2013 to 20 million 2015. That's promotions, publicity and printing. And the extraordinary expenditure from 111 million 2013 to 127 million 0.8 2015. That is kind of a steep, I must admit. I plan not to ask any questions, but I have to.
Yes, the Honourable Minister.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The first one, extraordinary expenditure, that is increased allocation for covert units, information put assets required for the covert units. No, we're speaking about the extraordinary expenditure. Yes. For the covert
127
units.
million?
Yep. The transnational organized crime unit, which was a unit that was virtually made mandatory based on our the concerns by our international partners to deal with the concerns of the illegal entry of drugs, more so the United Kingdom. So there was the establishment of the transnational organized crime unit, and that alone was coming up to over $35 million. And there's also the National Coastal Surveillance Radar Center for the improvement. And then they have the counter-trafficking unit as well. So, and then there was general administration. So I could give you a breakdown of all of these different things, from the transnational organized crime unit, the radar implementation, the counter-trafficking unit. The counter-trafficking unit, in fact, has been very instrumental to deal with situations we have now, where we have actually been upgraded from Tier 2, watch list to Tier 2 by the United States based on the achievements that we have accomplished within the last year. So the counter-trafficking unit, obviously, there would have been a need again because of the concerns that we have seen internationally for us to revamp that, and also the transnational organized crime unit.
Yes, I recognize the member for
62?
West.
62?
Yeah.
62?
Sorry.
Before we go on to 62, I think Minister West.
36, extraordinary expenditure. I draw your attention to Roman 19. Roman 19, subhead number 36, where in the budgetary process, it specifically points out that extraordinary expenditure is, and I quote, unforeseen expenditure that is unlikely to occur. And unlikely to occur is printed in bold, meaning that it is very unlikely to occur. So extraordinary expenditure.
But in 2015, the unlikely was $111 million.
Well, let me, Mr. Speaker, please.
Yeah. Yes.
I
Continue.
value the assistance of my colleague, but
Yes,
I
yes.
wouldn't be able to help you if I can't complete my sentence.
Continue, please.
So I'm saying, if in the budgetary process, we have a subhead of extraordinary expenditure, and the categorization of such an expenditure is unforeseen expenditure that is unlikely to occur. When we come to item 36 here, I don't know what happened before 2013.
Unlikely to recur.
To recur, yes.
Yeah.
But in 2013, we budgeted 111 million. 2014, we budgeted 158 million. 2014, we revised it down to 104 million. We are budgeting 127 million. Now, this clearly, Mr. Speaker, is not an item that we, and based on what the Minister has just said, it's not something that we anticipate is unlikely to occur. It is in fact part of the regular arrangement now. They've put some new unit in place and some new arrangements which have to be funded by prior knowledge. So therefore, it ought not to be budgeted under extraordinary expenditure.
The Minister?
No, so again, I'll give you an example. For example, the radar center. You'll have the costs and the parts, the maintenance of the radar system. It can increase at a very big cost from time to time based on just a change in technology. Technology changes would cause the whole system to have to be revamped. Similar to the variant system, for example, where last year it was a $35 million change we had to make because of the change from, what do you call the different between the phones? G3, not yeah, when you have to change, when the mobile changes, when it, yes, pardon? Yeah, the 4G, automatically with millions, over $30 million we had to move, to upgrade that system to go with variant. So this will be seen as extraordinary based on just something that was not anticipated. So sometimes it becomes a catalyst. If something happens, then whether it's radar, whether it's the intelligence systems, they will also need to be upgraded, and with that will cause that cost to escalate without it actually being planned prior to.
Mr. Speaker, with your approval, I would like to go back to 16, which is contract employment, for which we are now budgeting $40 million, when that subhead was $28 million in 2013. Who are the people in the Ministry of National Security that are categorized as contract workers? And why such a steep increase from 28 million to 40 million for contract workers? What category of persons are we talking about here?
The Honourable Minister of National
Yes, Chairman. Chairman, well, this is it's very in-depth. It involves scanner days entry operators, business operations assistants, executive support officers, legal officers. So, and again, I can provide you the list.
Are these establishment posts which are being filled by contract officers?
Yes. But, no, but we do have, there are vacancies. There are vacancies.
These are vacancies on the establishment of the public service in the Ministry of National Security?
There? It's beyond? So it's outside of? It's contractable situation outside of.
Okay, so over and above the establishment of the Ministry of National Security in the public service, this provision is for additional persons. How are these persons sourced? $40 million worth. How are they sourced?
I know there's a team and specific interviews. They're it's conducted by who chairs those interviews? Yeah, based on the criteria, if it's a matters pertaining to legal, pertaining to IT, there's a specific process that is made to ensure that those persons are selected.
Who makes that decision?
Pertaining to
Who determines how you spend this money? The permanent secretary, the minister, who?
No, it is all based on the needs of the Ministry of National Security at the time. For example, if during the period there's a need to immediately establish the transnational organized crime unit, there would be contracted positions based on that the establishment of that unit.
No, that's not what I'm asking. I have a budgetary item. A decision has to be made to spend the money. Who makes that decision?
Yeah, well, again, that I understand now. Yeah. The permanent secretary, he would make a recommendation based on the needs to fulfill any task that may be required, and then it is brought to the Minister of National Security, and then the relevant interviews will be conducted.
Is there any attempt to advertise positions here? Are these positions advertised?
Not all. Not all. They're advertised, yes, but
all?
No, I don't think all. Not all have been. Not all have been advertised.
Which are the ones that you don't advertise?
I could get that for you. I could provide that list for you. Those that have not been advertised.
That would be helpful.
Yeah.
And,
all right.
And with the reason, if it's
any reason, yeah.
Sure.
All right, no, I thought you had given way to the yeah, but
the lead off.
What's the lead on?
Oh, okay. All right. A member for Lavendale East, Mofa.
Thank you. I just want to get back to the point on number 62, promotions, publicity, and printing. There is indeed a steep increase of 12.6 million.
What was that one for?
Yeah.
And I would like to know what has caused this steep increase in promotions. And I'd like to ask the question too, where is the funding coming from the program Beyond the Line? Is it from the Police Service or Ministry of National Security?
Okay. This is
Yes, the Honourable Minister.
Yes, Chairman. What I mentioned is that we may have a major reduction in crime. That may be there for statistics, but there's a difference between the actual reduction in crime and taking away the perception and fear of crime. It is very important that the public, they are aware of what strategies are taking place. And again, we have seen one of the concerns is that the public they have been reluctant to come forward and to be part of the process because of that breakdown in communication and trust between themselves and the law enforcement agencies. So this is a very powerful tool to ensure that we have that element of trust that is brought back and getting people to understand the role and function of the different arms of the law enforcement agencies. So it is more of an objective to get the public to be aware, to respect, to trust, and to start believing in the law enforcement agencies. So that's where you will have that increase. We have, for too long, we've had this situation where many people, they are not aware of the importance of the different arms of the law enforcement agencies and what they do. So that is what that is. Pertaining to the other matter with Beyond the Line, definitely not from the Ministry of National Security. I'm not aware of if the police service, that will come after this, and they will be able to confirm that from that end. But from the Ministry of National Security, the answer is no.
All right, the member for Ruka Maloney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I'm looking at sub-item 43. There is a significant increase in security services from $1,844,711 in 2013, increasing to $2,982,400 in 2014, and taking another leap in 2015. And Mr. Speaker, I'd like to find out from the Minister, Mr. Chair, I'd like to find out if the Minister can provide us with a list of the security firms that actually provide services to them, and if he can provide a detailed breakdown of the service that is provided.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Minister?
Yeah, Chairman, I could provide a detailed breakdown if required. It involves the cost of security services at Temple Court, one, as well as the cost for amalgamated courier service, and also at the AMBA building. There was also an increase in rates by MTS from last year.
Okay, I'm moving on to item 5. Yeah, before I move on, I recognize Shagonas West. And then
Minister, 08, rent lease. I know for a fact that there is an office that is. Sorry, sir, I will ask it.
all right,
I'll ask him by himself.
the member for Diego Martin West.
Mr. Chairman, I think that some of our colleagues are hiding information from us. I wonder if they want to share it with us in this private meeting. Mr. Chairman, I know that the Ministry of National Security from time to time would be required to provide training for persons of in various arms of the services. And therefore, when I look at 17, the budget for training is $2 million. But the budget for PR promotion is $20 million. Is it that the ministry has its priorities upside down?
Yes, this $2 million, Chairman, this is just general administration training. As I mentioned, there are 3 major aspects towards this budget. It has to do with the importance of asset acquisition, manpower strength, and training. And the Ministry of National Security really is several mini ministries, and every aspect, the Tobago, the fire services, the defense force, the police, they're all involved in different aspects.
We are
yes, but it's general administration. So but if we only look at well, again, that will involve persons within the administration of the Ministry of National Security and not the operational elements. So that $2 million, it doesn't involve the arms of the law enforcement agencies with the type of training that they require.
So nobody from the Coast Guard, nobody
not on this.
So this is just
line.
Public servants in the ministry.
Yes,
right.
yes.
But I still think that a $20 million promotion budget is high.
All right, let's go on. We go on to item 5. Regiment.
Not 5.
Yes, yes, we have just left.
No, 002. Fire service.
Yeah, fire.
Oh, I thought you dealt with that a short while
There's
ago.
a next fire.
They want to light
Okay. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Yes. Yes, the Honourable Member for Laventille East. Mover.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I go move to 13. Maintenance of vehicles. All right, there's an increase here.
Yeah.
And why I ask about this is because I know that there's an engineering department in the fire service. And I understand that a lot of the maintenance of the vehicle is being contracted out when some of the work could be done by the engineering corps. As a matter of fact, some of the work, after it has been contracted out the vehicle gets back into the fire services department, the persons there now still have to fix it. So I think that is something that needs to be looked at, okay, in the fire service. Too much work is being contracted out compared to before. It also brings me to the point of training.
Excuse me, I just reconfirm. So you're saying that you recommend that the fire services, they do internally the maintenance?
No, but you need to look at the fact that a lot of work is being contracted out that doesn't necessarily have to be contracted out.
Sure.
Okay? All right.
Yes.
I move to training.
Yes, training.
Just wanted to ask about, no, I wouldn't bother with that question as
Okay.
I'll talk personally
All right.
about that. Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Repairs and maintenance of buildings, there is an increase of 9 million. And really that is the one I want to speak about because I understand that it's the same problem where a lot of, there's a project unit and a lot of the maintenance that could be done by the members of the fire service because there's a project department. Almost everything is being contracted out and that there is a preferred contractor. So, Minister, you need to look into that. There's a preferred contractor getting a lot of work in the fire service, okay? And there is some grumbling about that. So I just wanted to talk to you about that.
Okay, but I do know as well that one of the things that because of the OSHA Act, it requires, because of the level now, the health and safety issues, there's certain aspects that we have to do to refurbish new facilities, such as in Makoya and Shogunas and other places for relocating personnel. But I'll look at that as well.
Other contracted services, 28.
28.
I would like to know there's an increase of 4-point-something million. I want to know what has resulted in that increase.
Yes, General Minister of
million.
National Security.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that involves installation of fire hydrants, repairs, replacement of defective hydrants, refurbishment and maintenance of saltwater pumps and systems.
But Minister, that is routine work in fire service. So what would account for a 4.6 increase?
I can get that breakdown for you.
Okay, check that.
All right, I recognize the member for.
One more.
Oh, okay.
Janitorial services, there's an increase of 1.4 million. Actually, from 2013, it was 4 million. It has now reached 7 million. What has accounted for that increase?
Oh, yeah, right, yes. Again, because of the, we have the new fire stations that would be there. Obviously, the janitorial services will increase because of the new fire stations that are opening.
I recognize the member for the Guamata
On that
Northeast.
same first item there, maintenance of vehicles. Do you have a list of the vehicles? And could you tell me how many of them are maintained in-house?
Okay, I can get that for you, but I know what we are doing now in the Ministry of National Security is the importance of that preventative maintenance aspect, which is why it is that we are trying to keep as many vehicles on the road as much as possible. Previously, they will have this system, the vehicle will be down, and then after you bring it in, and then we had started having the problems of cannibalizing the vehicles. So now with the importance of us having the preventative maintenance, there will be that budget now much more in dealing with maintenance rather than the repairs.
I don't have any question on the quantum.
The quantum, yeah, I'll get that for you.
I'm not concerned about the amount of money you're spending yet. I just wanted to know whether you're doing it in-house or not. And could I get a list of the vehicles that are being maintained?
Understood, sure.
Under this head. Okay?
Yes, I'll get that for you.
All right, we go to item 5, regiment. Item 6, item 5.
5.
The honourable member for the Guamata West.
What's up, Ellen?
Guy.
005, page 117.
005, page 117.
Yes.
Miss, 05. Mr. Speaker, I just want to
Yes.
make an observation as to the good luck of the National Security Ministry. How did you manage to convince the Ministry of Finance to approve a request for $7 million for telephones when last year's telephone bills were $2.6 million? What are we anticipating here to cause a provision of $7 million to be set aside for telephones in the regiment?
That, Mr. Chairman, has to do with the increasing of the usage charges due to the joint operations that we have.
What?
IETF, Interagency Task Force, there's been an increase in the usage charges.
From 2.6 to 7 million?
And Madam Chairman, I can provide the breakdown to
Chairman,
justify that.
I would like to ask the minister to look into this.
Sure.
Because I don't know, with all due respect, I don't know what they're doing to have almost increased the telephone bill by 200%.
Okay.
And that take it on, Mr. Speaker, again, to raise the question of competition for services in the Ministry of National Security. The food at institutions bill has jumped considerably in the last 2 years. And I'm not here accusing our officers of having an increased appetite. I'm talking about the cost of food to the agencies. And it has moved from 27 million to 40 million. And I don't know that we have drastically improved the numbers in these agencies. I suspect it has to do with competition for the supply. And I'm simply drawing this to the attention of the minister so that you can ensure that there is proper competition so that we can get the benefit of competition for the supply to the agencies.
Yes. Okay.
And that also includes quality of what is supplied.
Sure.
Because it may very well be that as we're paying more and more, we're getting, less and less in terms of quality. But I suspect that this increase has some element
What is that decrease?
of lack of competition, and there are people in the system who stay there and just offer their prices, and they are price takers. Because the inflation in the country on food has not gone along this line. So just look at that.
Sure, I'll do that, Mr. Chairman. I agree, but there has actually been a decrease, but it's still, I understand the point of it being $40 million, even though there is a decrease. But I do recall that there was this situation for years gone by where a lot of suppliers, they were not able to be paid, because I don't know whether it is that the estimates, they were inaccurate to deal with trying to see about meals for over 10,000 persons, at 3 meals a day. And where it is that because of that, it has now, they actually have an allocation that is more conducive to the requirements of the agencies. But I do understand your point, and we in fact, we actually, the Permanent Secretary and I were actually discussing that to ensure that all of these aspects would be dealt with. There's a relevant audit that is taking place in all these different law enforcement agencies to look at these systems.
Yes, the member for Lavender East Mofa.
Those are my questions.
I recognize the member for the Gomata Northeast.
Yes, on the same question on 1.3.
Yes.
Is this being done in-house, maintenance of vehicles? And could you give me a breakdown of the vehicles, please? How many vehicles, what types of vehicles, and is the maintenance being done in-house? Regiment. And secondly,
It's a combination of both. Yes, sorry. Secondly, go ahead, or?
no, I'm under that same head. The reason, you'll find out why I'm asking these questions shortly. Because there's a vast disparity in the maintenance figures among divisions. But going now to 58 medical expenses, is this a medical plan, or is this the actual expenses incurred for medical treatment?
Is it the actual? Yeah, these were the medical is the actual
How is it
expenses.
done? Do they go to a private doctor? What happens?
No, well, the Defense Force, what they do have is they have persons who are assigned to the Trinidad Defense Force on a permanent basis. And those individuals will go to the different military installations at a specific day every week to deal with matters for the soldiers. So whereas your Defense Force, they would have an infirmary, they will have a medical room that will deal with on a daily basis for any person who has an injury, an ailment, and that is what gives the authorization for them to have sick leave. If it is that there will be situations where a doctor would be required, and there are doctors that are contracted in the Trinidad Defense Force to deal specifically with matters that will be beyond those of someone who is just a trained medical involved in basic medical aspects. And then we also have the dental and external bills that will come about, where those individuals will have to go outside of those persons who are doctors that are contracted by the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force.
So it's a combination of in-house
Yes.
treatment and external, but to what extent is a member of the regiment covered? Do you cover them for anything? Bypass surgery?
No,
What is the coverage? That's
No.
what I want to know. Treat them for what, a headache, the flu, a broken heart?
or injury related to their duties whilst in the performance of their duties, but then there's also medical coverage. There's also a medical plan by the
That's what I'm asking
Yes,
you.
the plan
So
itself.
does this include payment for a medical plan? There's 10 million here.
I'm not sure. That one, I'm not too sure. I know. Yeah, I'll verify that for you.
Could you,
You want to go back?
know the extent of medical coverage that is afforded to members of the regiment? To what extent? What level of treatment? What kind of procedures? And how far you will go in terms of assisting members of the regiment with medical expenses?
It's all based on if it is that person they had an injury that was related whilst in the performance of their duty, obviously, and that will be automatic. But then, as members of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, as with all persons in the military worldwide, there's that medical coverage that can facilitate those individuals.
I know you don't have the information,
Yeah.
but could you provide it, please?
Sure, I could. Yeah.
The level of medical
The level, yeah.
All right, we go to item 6, Coast Guard. Yes, member for the Gomate Northeast.
Same question. 13, is the maintenance of vehicles done in-house or not? And could you give a breakdown of the vehicles, please?
Yes, well, that can be provided for you.
And I also to assume that your answer would be similar to a question on 58 medical expenses. You'll have to get back to me on the extent of coverage you provide to the Coast Guard.
I can. Pertaining to the maintenance of vehicles, that is to meet the increasing cost of repairs and to maintain the new assets, which will be inclusive of the
Minister,
armored personnel
I just
carriers.
asked you whether it is done in-house or not, and could I get a breakdown?
It is.
of
It
the
is.
vehicles?
There's a mechanical transport division that deals
Coast
specifically.
Guard.
Oh, you're in Coast Guard? No.
Well, we're on Coast Guard. You passed regiment already?
Huh? I thought you were still on.
No, you're not listening, man. We're on 6, 006.
You're moving too
Not so,
fast.
Mr. Chairman. And we're on 6. We're on 6.
The Gomate Central.
No, but you didn't answer me, Mr.
What's the
Chairman.
question?
Is the maintenance of vehicles for the Coast Guard done in-house?
Is the maintenance of Coast Guard vehicles done in-house?
Yes. Again, there's a maintenance division that deals specifically
And
with
you'll give
those.
me a list of the vehicles.
Yes.
As
I recognize the member for the Gomate Central.
Sub-item 17, training for the Coast Guard. Very important, but I just want to inquire whether this includes any training for the proposed larger vessels that the minister has been speaking about, recognizing that that type of training has to occur even before vessels are received. So this 20 million, does this include that
Yes,
type of training?
Honourable Minister.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the type of vessels that we have presently that will be acquired, the training from the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard, it is not at any great extent because the type of vessels will be coastal patrol vessels, interceptors, hovercraft. So it would not require any type of training external to Trinidad and Tobago, where you require individuals to have to go abroad to be involved. For the whole crew, for example, like if we are acquiring 50-meter vessels, right, the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard, the persons, they have the capability to maneuver and to utilize these type of vessels. In fact, we're actually now refurbishing two vessels of similar size.
Oh, very nice. Well, you've just triggered an additional question. I had assumed that 20 million involved extensive overseas training similar to what may have been taking place prior. Because when you look at the training in the other arms of the Defense Force, the entire regiment is 9 million. Coast Guard, you're saying all the training is occurring in Trinidad and Tobago for $20 million.
No, that's for the vessels. There's a difference with the training for the vessels, the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard, because there's a different variety. So the training for the Coast Guard is not specifically just to train them how to maneuver a vessel. It involves officer cadet training for persons who are about to be commissioned. It involves development training. It involves other aspects of leadership training. Also, we have the Special Naval Unit, and they're involved in counter-terrorist activities. So there are a number of different types of training elements that would be required by the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard, and not specifically to that training that is required for an offshore patrol / long-range patrol vessel.
I have a further question on training. I'll ask it later.
All right, Lavender East, move on.
That's my question.
All right, well, let's go on to item 7, immigration. I recognize the member for the Gumati Northeast.
08.
08.
Yes. Could you tell us when you are going to properly accommodate Immigration Division and where you're going to accommodate them?
Yes.
Chairman, by December, the Immigration Department would be moving to the building in the government campus, PK9.
Oh, on Richmond Street?
Yes.
All right.
Wait.
Yes.
And I noticed a very small sum for medical expenses. Is the medical coverage for the Immigration Division different to the regiment and the Coast Guard?
It is. There's a different type of system for the medical coverage for members of the Trinidad and Tobago Defence Force to that of Immigration.
What's this $30,000 for? On the 58? 30,000 can't do much.
Let me see that.
58?
Medical?
Yeah, on the medical expenses, 30,000. What is that for?
What's that for?
The Honourable Minister.
I'll have to provide that for you.
Seems woefully inadequate.
30,000.
Lavender East, move on.
62. I see a big increase in promotions, printing, and publications. What is the reason for that?
That is immigration.
Immigration. From 128,000 to 500.
That has to do with the printing. I will have to provide that for you, Chairman, because I believe I know what it is, but I don't want to give you the wrong information.
The member for Chaconas West.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Relocation of overseas staff. I read where many members of staff in the New York office, for example, were sent back home amid much tears and crying and so on. But I see you have increased the allocation for relocation with less people working overseas. How do you have more staff, more money?
No, there was a rotation. It wasn't that. It's not a matter, Chairman, that we just sent persons home. There was the rotation, and then after we had the increase of China, we had the in China now being established. So that is where you will see the increase.
Okay.
All right, we go on to item 10, Fire Service Tobago. Item 13, Immigration Tobago. Item 14, Defence Force Headquarters. Item 15, the Cadet Force. Item 16, Air Guard. I recognize the member for the Gumati Northeast.
Yes, Mr.
And the
Chairman.
member for the Gumati West.
Now, what I find this cost of the maintenance of vehicles for the Air Guard shocking. Now, the Air Guard flies in the air. The cost of maintenance of vehicles, unless this is a misprint, $44 million for the Air Guard, a small unit of the protective services that flies aircraft. Whereas the regiment, which drives on the road, the allocation is only $12 million. Can you explain this enormous difference for maintenance of vehicles? Don't make sense.
If that would be
Cars they have that they're maintaining, so $44 million for maintenance of vehicles for the Air Guard, and only 12 for the regiment.
If I may, I normally do not get involved in these things.
Yes, sir.
But I say if you go to page 12 of the document,
12.
under the maintenance of vehicles,
Yeah.
you'll see on number 13, where they said the purchase of all items necessary for the upkeep and maintenance of government vehicles would include the cars, the vans, the trucks,
Yes.
the buses,
You could,
the vessels,
the vessels
and the aircraft.
So, it
I
involves.
don't know if that would
So
explain.
the vehicle, where's the vehicles? It also involves maintenance, fuel for the helicopters, the Augusta helicopters, and the fixed-wing aircraft. And that alone, the fuel cost for those things is every time those Augusta helicopters just take off. Once it gets 5 feet off the ground, that's $5,000 it'll cost us.
Okay, fine. So
Could we move on?
No, not
Okay.
at all. Now that you've told me that maintenance of vehicles includes vessels and aircraft,
Yes.
can you explain to me why the cost of maintenance of vehicles for the Coast Guard is half the Air Guard?
That has to do, Mr. Chairman, with the problem that we've encountered with the Augusta helicopter. The Augusta helicopter, the costs for one such helicopter is arguably about 12 million US. We paid over 23 million. But the maintenance for these helicopters, each one, the cost is approximately $500 million. So whereas the cost for the helicopter is about 100, we are actually paying over $500 million for each of the 4 helicopters. So we have actually been locked into a contract
Minister,
for the helicopters
those
at
figures-
1.6 billion.
Mr. Chairman, those figures bear no relation to what I am
It does, Mr. Chairman, because
Coast Guard is 20 million, the Air Guard is 44 million. You're talking about 500 million.
No,
There's
it is an
relationship
annual,
to what
it is
you're
an
saying.
annual cost, Mr. Chairman, where the
This is
contract.
an annual cost?
Yes, and the annual cost also involves constant travel for where we have to send personnel to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
You said 500 million, I've seen 20.
That is just part of the pie.
So where you have the
But
cost
no,
of
that is maintenance and training. That's what I said. It's 500 million for each helicopter for maintenance and training.
Where is that reflected in the estimates? If
And,
you say
and
this
also,
covers
and there's
everything-
also the fuel cost as well,
Minister,
Mr. Chairman.
Minister, where is that reflected in the estimates? If you say this item covers everything, as the chairman so kindly told us, this is everything. Vessels, aircraft, fuel, everything in here are seeing 20 million. You saying it's 500 million.
No. That is over a 5-year period, and it's for each.
That's 100.
But it's but there's maintenance, and when I said 500, it's maintenance and training. It's a whole variety of different aspects that we've been locked into that
You
contract.
can't answer the question.
All right, I recognize the member
answer the
for
question.
Lavendale East Mover.
My question had to do with the cost of the helicopters and so on, and I know that helicopters and the small planes is very expensive maintenance and also operation. But who authorizes the use of these vehicles to bring the member for Tobago east to and from Tobago?
Sorry, the helicopters you're speaking about?
Yes.
Yeah, who brings, sorry?
Who authorizes the use of these vehicles? Because you spoke about expense, maintenance, and so on, to bring the member for Tobago east to and from Tobago on a regular basis.
Okay, I can't recall the member for Tobago East ever utilizing any of those helicopters from the Trinidad and Tobago Air Guard.
If it's not from the Air Guard, where is it from?
Let's move on. Let us not argue
NOC.
if he makes a response.
And who authorizes the one from NOC?
No, but,
Question, please.
yes,
Yes,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
with your concurrence,
should I ask that question when you talk about the NOC?
could the minister tell me, please, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir. We'll continue, Honourable Member.
could the minister tell me, please, what is the size of the complement in numbers of the Air Guard? And what is the size of the regiment in terms of complement numbers?
The Trinidad and Tobago Air Guard is a newly established arm of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force. It is much smaller than that of the
How
Trinidad
many
and Tobago
people you have
Regiment.
there?
About 400? 400? 400? Yeah, just about 400 odd. 400 members. 400, yes.
And the defense and the
The
regiment?
regiment, 3,000. 3,000.
So the regiment has 3,000 bodies, and the Air Guard has 400. But the food bill for the Air Guard is a quarter of that of the regiment. So we budget $40 million for food at institutions for the regiment, and we budget $10 million for the Air Guard. Something is not right here.
Yes. I understand, but Mr. Chairman, what happens is that the members of the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment, they are involved in much more, where you have platoons and companies, they remain in camp for a 24-hour period. The facility for the Air Guard involves much more in operations for for the use of the helicopters. So it's not, whereas you may just be looking at the maths and multiply it by 4. But the duties of the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment will facilitate many more persons being confined and remaining in the camp.
And that's the point I'm making. You're making my case. I'm saying you told me you have 3,000 odd
yeah.
people. And I'm saying that is, how many, 8 times? That's 8 times as many people as you have in the Air Guard. But your budget for food at that institution is
in the Air
40
Guard,
million.
fine.
But for the Air Guard, which is a much smaller percentage of people, you're budgeting 10 million, which is 25% of the
yes.
budget.
Okay.
How do you explain that?
They eat.
All right, we want to move on now.
No, Mr. Chairman, I haven't got an answer. I'm asking for an answer.
Yes, could you?
I will find out, and I will also look at the menu.
We go on to item 17, Immigration Detention Center.
Understood.
We go into Immigration Detention Center. I recognize the member for Laventille East Morvan, Aruka Maloney.
Mr. Chairman, Minister, there are many issues facing the Immigration Detention Center, and I'm just concerned whether sufficient funds are being expended for the proper management and running of the center. I see here under 17, there is no allocation for 2014 for training. Is there a particular reason?
Sorry.
But there's an
What number?
estimated,
Training, immigration,
yes,
17, no allocation.
no allocation, but an estimated 6 million for 2015. Is there a reason why there's no money allocated for training?
Program.
Yes. You have a training program?
2014 had 2016 had 6 million.
I'll have that
15 and
information
6
provided for
million.
you. I'll get that for you. I'll
Because there
provide
was
that for
none
you.
before.
Right,
Also,
yes.
other contracted services,
Other contracted services? Yes.
what accounts for this? I see that there is a decrease. What accounts for this?
There's a decrease.
Yeah,
What
because
accounts
the,
What accounts for the decrease
underfunded.
from 8 million to 6 million?
No, this one here.
The leader of opposition said to start cutting.
What was the decrease?
That accounts to the decrease. You have advised us to cut.
No, you're the wrong one.
Tell me
No,
we have to
it's
cut
124.
what's all about.
Then 124. Just 1 minute, please, Chair. That's what we're talking about, is 124.
It is page 124.
124, yeah.
Okay. And we go into
Item this one.
28. Sub-item rather. 28.
What is the reason for the decrease?
What is the reason for the decrease?
Contracted services.
They're not taking care of that.
You have it?
The realities.
I think you should provide that.
Yeah, I'll provide it for you.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Could I just get confirmation from the minister? Since you're now defining vehicles as vessels and aircraft and everything, you're going to get a list of vehicles, including vessels and aircraft, for each one of these.
But I didn't define it, the book defined it as that.
So now we have
I was just quoting from
now that we have discovered that this is what it is,
Yes.
you'll get a list of vehicles which will include vessels and aircraft.
helicopters,
for
yes.
each one of these.
Understood.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Aruka Maloney.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Under sub-item 16, contract and employment, in 2013 and 14, there was no allocation, but there is a $6 million allocation in 2015. Could the minister provide us with the list of vacant positions, if any, and if there are no vacant positions, the number of contract positions that exist in that particular establishment?
The structure was just approved, Chairman, hence the reason for that increase that you're seeing.
All right, we go to item 18, Volunteer Defense Force. I recognize the member for St. Joseph and member for Laventille West.
Thank you, Chair. Honourable Minister, under uniforms, line item 03, could you tell me how many personnel make up the Volunteer Defence Force?
What?
and how many uniforms we are purchasing here?
Honourable Minister?
My volunteer is not volunteering to give me any information in the back there, Chairman. It is, it is 220.
220. Has this number been constant from 2013 to 2015?
400? I don't know. Listen. Because I knew it to be 400, but I've been told it's 220.
400.
It's 400, Chairman.
Has that number been constant from 2013
what's
to
the number?
2015?
Has it been an increase?
Give us the proper number, please.
No, but, okay, they are permanent members of the Reserve Defence Force.
And that's how many?
200.
And how many
the reserves, well, they are also reserves, but then there are those who are on reserve strength that will only come out if required based on the authority, and that will be another 220
Okay.
odd.
Honourable Minister, has that number
400,
been,
sorry.
Has that number been constant from 2013 to 2015 with minor variations? I
Yes,
mean, not
yes,
significant.
correct.
Thank you. Therefore, my question under line item 09, rent lease of vehicles and equipment. In 2013, the actual was roughly $30,000. But in 2015, it has gone up by approximately 7 times to $230,000. And this issue of rental of vehicles pervades all these documents. Somebody is making a lot of money. What accounts for this 7-fold increase in the rent lease of vehicles if the numbers have remained more or less constant from 2013 to 2015?
Well, just a minute, please, Chairman. No, I didn't be here. Yeah. We actually have the documents here. I'll have that provided for you, Mr.
Thank you. And lastly, line item 13, maintenance of vehicles. Again, 2013, $295,000 actually spent, but the 2015 estimate for maintenance of vehicles is a 4-fold increase to 1.3 million. So these increases, 7-fold for rent lease, 4-fold for maintenance of vehicles, does not seem to fit. If it is, the manpower complement, as stated, has remained more or less the same from 2013 to 2015. So we have a little conundrum there.
Yeah, Minister?
Yeah, Chairman, I do know that the Reserve Defense Force, they have been involved a lot more in training and other elements that they were never involved before. So that may very well be the reason for that increase. But what I will do, I will verify and I'll get to you the rationale why it is there has been that request for that increase.
And the maintenance of vehicles, is this done in-house or is it contracted to a third party?
No, again, there's a mechanical transport division in the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, but also depending on the type of the problem with the vehicle, it may be contracted outside.
Thank you.
All right, we are moving on to subhead 3, minor equipment purchases. Item 1, general administration. I recognize the member for Lego Martin West.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah. Mr. Chairman, my understanding of minor equipment is like photocopying machines, air conditioning units, and for the army, dogs and horses and things like that. But I noticed that we're making a provision of $45 million for minor equipment. A provision was made of $50 million in 2014. And of that, I see a revision downwards to $29 million. So if the $50 million provision of 2014 is to be revised downwards to $29 million at the closure of the accounts of 2014, what is the reason for making a request and being provisioned to the tune of $45 million for minor equipment? What exactly are we going to buy with that $45 million?
You following it?
No, I'm not picking.
We
Page
page
126,
126.
last line.
Oh, the last, oh, sorry, okay.
Go
No,
to
we are the
04.
general
Oh, it's 04, okay.
other
On the regiment.
minor.
On the regiment, regiment.
Yeah, on the regiment, yes.
Second to last line.
Yes.
If you look at the pattern of expenditure,
It has increased by 15
but
million.
what is the reason for that provisioning on the minor equipment?
Hey, only.
Could you provide the answer now, or you want to?
No, I'll provide the answer later on for you, Chairman.
Could we get a detail?
The detail, I will give you
By
the
the way,
detailed
if you could
breakdown for
also tell us
the minor
to understand this more clearly, could you provide us with details as to what you bought with the 29 million?
With the 29?
What did you
Yes.
spend $29 million on in 2014?
And
And that
what
will
we-
give us a good picture as to
Sure.
why you're looking for $45 million in 2015.
Understand.
Thank you.
Yes, Chairman.
Yes, member for Hamilton, please move on.
Under minor equipment purchases on the fire service vehicles, there is an increase of 19.7 million for the purchase of vehicles. Found it?
Which,
Same page, 126,
126?
fire service, 002.
Yes.
And there's an increase of 19.7. What accounts for that huge increase? Also, I would like to know if provision is made for the purchase of a fire tender for the Crown Point Fire Service. I understand that they have one operating crash tender. And are you all also going to replace this one?
Yes, sorry.
Are you all also going to replace the crashed fire tender that was crashed up on the North Coast?
Okay. Yes, Chairman, the drastic increase you're seeing here is because of the purchase of new vehicles for the new fire stations in Mearo, Lady Hales, Aruca, Pinal, and the replacement of vehicles recommended by the Board of Survey. 236 fire vehicles, 48 out of service and 40 for Board of Survey. And also we will be acquiring 236 fire vehicles. No. The fleet is 236. 46 will be out of service and 40 of the Board of Survey. And then ambulance as well, 18 more, because 18 will be acquired and 15 utility vehicles brought in the fiscal. So there would be new, because of the new stations being acquired.
There's just a follow-up question concerning Tobago one time. Okay? Provision is made for a vehicle for Crown Point. Do you know?
Yes, there is. There's something else, not just a vehicle and another tender for Tobago as well.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to item 6, Coast Guard. Yes, member for the Gomate Northeast.
Yeah, sorry.
Waiting on my
Sorry,
answer
sorry.
coming?
Sorry.
The answer coming concerning the fire.
Oh, the fire, because how many?
Let's see the fire chief.
In Tobago. Vehicles. Chairman, I will get that information for you later today.
All right, we're going to the member for the Gomate Northeast.
Mr. Chairman, when I look at the definition of minor equipment, I see cell phones, vacuum cleaners, refrigerators, stoves, lawnmowers, and things like that. How is it possible that the allocation for the Coast Guard for these things, cell phones and refrigerators and so on, is 9 million? The regiment is 45 million. And the Air Guard over the page is 15 million. What policy is used to come up with these numbers?
No, but
They don't make any sense.
why?
Why would the Air Guard minor equipment be more than the Coast Guard minor equipment? Coast Guard is a much larger force.
No, it's not really the manpower strength in it. It's based on the requirements for
Okay, the
it's
Coast
the
Guard,
equipment, not the manpower.
Coast Guard engages in at least as many operations as the Air Guard, I would think. They have far more equipment, far
Yes.
more men, do far more operational maneuvers than the Air Guard on a
Yeah, but
daily
the
basis.
type of equipment that would be required for communication will be different.
It's refrigerators, photocopying machines.
No, we also spoke
Cell
about
phones.
communication
It
equipment.
says cell phones, vacuum cleaners, refrigerators, stoves, lawnmowers, microwave ovens, and so on. I can't understand how the allocation for the Coast Guard is 9 million. The Air Guard is 15 million. We need to get a breakdown of these things. Doesn't
Okay.
make any sense.
I can provide that right now. I can
Yeah, we
provide
need to
that
get
for
it.
you,
We need to
Chairman.
get
Yeah,
it.
sure.
What's going on? No wonder the Coast Guard is underserved. That's what I'm thinking.
All right.
here.
You'll provide that information
Yes.
to us?
Yes, Chairman.
We go to item 7, immigration. Item 10,
Yeah,
we have passed
breakdown.
Tobago. Item 14, Defense Force Headquarters. Item 15, the Cadet Force. Item 16, the Air Guard. Item 17, the Immigration Detention Center. Item 18, Volunteer Defense Force. We go to Subhead 04, Current Transfer and Subsidies. Item 1, Regional Bodies. I recognize the Gomartin Northeast and the Gomartin Central.
Mr. Chairman, we are apparently forced to contribute to this agency that is on 05, impacts. Is it of any use to us? 13 million, see, Minister laughing. You spend 13 million on this agency, does it provide any purpose at all?
The Honourable Minister.
Chairman, the answer is yes. The first thing is that impacts, it involves, there's supposed to be a contribution made between all arms of CARICOM. The countries, they all agreed to the budget, but they do not all contribute to the budget.
So we pay for it.
So it's unfortunate that Trinidad and Tobago, we actually see about, apart from the allocation we have annually to deal with impacts of our contribution, we also see about the rental and the salaries for those persons who are stationed here in Trinidad and Tobago. But the importance of impacts cannot be overemphasized at this time, especially because of global terrorism. Impacts has been the avenue to assist in monitoring persons of interest and on the watch list. So impacts, it is important. My concern has always been the fact that we are the ones that have been contributing and keeping it afloat. But without impacts, if that shuts down, it can definitely affect our security, especially based on the terrorist watch lists and monitoring persons. So what we do need to do is to emphasize with our CARICOM neighbors the importance of impacts, and not just to support the budget, but also to contribute to the budget.
Okay.
Okay, we go to item 4, international bodies. Item 7, households. Recognize the leader of the opposition.
Mr. Chairman, 04 under 007, Civilian Conservation Corps. Could I just ask the minister, what are we getting for $55 million? Is the Corps at full strength and meeting its expectations in terms of the support, its original targets and so on?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, the concept of the Civilian Conservation Code is not along the aspect of just giving people fish, but teaching them how to fish. The Civilian Conservation Corps has been very instrumental in getting young persons to utilize their energies in the right manner. And because of the character traits that one may acquire from the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, those character traits have played a very big part towards the development of youths in different aspects, and it involves punctuality, discipline, leadership, organizational structure, teamwork, and also to assist them in trying to find avenues so that they can utilize their energies away from a life of crime. So the Civilian Conservation Corps has proven to be very effective. I do agree that we can improve it to ensure that you get maximum benefit from it, but it is one of the main aspects in the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force to show the importance of the Defense Force outside of times of war.
I wonder how many youngsters we have in the Corps now?
What's the number? How do I give the... It's about 100?
1,100. Yeah. Is that
Just over 1,000 at this time.
It's rotated every 6 months. You have a new batch brought in, and it goes between 1,000 to 1,200.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
the mentoring program for youth at risk.
Mentorship.
Yeah, the mentoring, yeah, that's item 11. What is happening there with respect to that expenditure of $3 million? How many persons do we have in that program now?
Yeah. Presently, you have approximately about 350 persons.
And are they rotated as well? Are they rotated as well?
It's they bring on a group, they run them through a camp, then they train the mentors, and then they match the mentors with the mentees.
How long do the mentees stay in the program?
1 year.
Okay.
At least 1 year. Some go beyond
I have a few more questions in 09, but I'll give way to others at the moment.
The member for Lavendale East move, and then member for Diego Martin East and Shogunus. Okay. And then we'll go to Diego Martin Central.
I just want to know about this, I'm seeing here, school discipline initiative. What is that about?
Which number?
09. Households, 09.
Oh, you found it? I can have the details provided for you.
All right, because I see it, there's some money allocated here, so I was curious about it.
Yeah, 100,000.
Yes.
Member for Diego Martin.
100,000.
I'm not,
Oh, you're not finished. Okay.
HIV coordinating unit.